Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Olajumoke Delano. I'm a lawyer, an international lawyer qualified to practice in 3 jurisdictions of Nigeria, United Kingdom, and the state of New York in USA. On this channel, I'll be talking about the role of a general counsel, sometimes called a chief legal officer in some crimes, and sometimes called director of legal services or even the legal advisor. So I'll be talking about, how to be an effective general counsel or legal advisor or even chief legal officer. Now, the interesting thing about the role of a general counsel is that sometimes it's combined. It's combined with other roles, with the role of a company secretary, with the role of a chief compliance officer. Sometimes it's combined with administration, corporate services. Sometimes it's combined with risk. And so we'll be delving into what it takes to be an effective general counsel or chief legal officer. I qualified over 29 years ago, and since then, just so you get to know who is speaking to you, I've worked in different climes. I will have work experience in the UK and also in Nigeria. Whilst in the UK, I worked with Citigroup as a financial analyst, and whilst in Nigeria with Citigroup, I also worked with Diamond Bank, worked with a law firm. I also worked with Citibank in Nigeria as a legal and compliance officer. I moved to the infrastructure bank in Abuja, where I worked as an investment officer and then as chief compliance officer. I also worked as transaction legal counsel, eventually became the acting company secretary and corporate legal counsel, before I left and moved to a power utility, also in Abuja, where I worked as director legal services. I worked as company secretary, and currently I'm the head of regulatory and government relations. So I'm sure you can see I have a rich bag of experiences. Some of them are legal, some of them are non-legal, some even finance. I worked as a financial analyst whilst I was with Citibank in the United Kingdom. I worked in Canary Wharf, and so I'm back here and working as the head of regulatory and government relations for a power utility. Now, but I enjoyed so much the role of a general counsel and would like to help other general counsels who are up and coming, and to share ideas and share my experiences on this journey of about 29 years, almost 30 years, to be precise. And what makes being a general counsel what makes it fascinating? I think it's really, really fascinating, and I'll tell you why, for a number of reasons. Now, if you work as general counsel, if you're somebody that doesn't like too much of routine, you like excitement, you like, having to do different things every day, usually the role of a general counsel will give you that opportunity to express that side of your personality. Because as a general counsel, usually no 2 days are the same. No 2 days are the same. So, today you may be dealing with agreements, tomorrow you're dealing with enforcement agencies, you're dealing with regulators, you are doing dispute resolution, you are, reviewing laws, providing legal opinions, you're having meetings, you're having negotiation meetings with contractors and vendors. Depending on what sector you work in, you may even visit the police occasionally to enforce the rights of your organization. So if you are somebody that does not like too much routine but likes structure, you don't like routine but you like structure, then the role of a general counsel is something you should consider as a lawyer. The thing about the field of law is really, really broad, and you can really choose what aspect of law to specialize in as a lawyer. Now, being a general counsel means that you are an in-house. You work in-house. Interestingly, some people say, oh, in-house counsel don't practice law. They're not practicing law. So they ask you, are you a practicing lawyer? I beg your pardon. For sure. Even though I'm an in-house counsel, I work for my organization and handle the legal issues internally, I am still by all means practicing law. So don't let anybody delude you and tell you because you're an in-house counsel you're not practicing law. We are all practicing law. Yeah, that's what we're doing. And so it's very exciting. It's very exciting. You get to meet with people, you get to engage with people. And the other thing about being a general counsel is like there are real life cases that you handle. You handle real life cases, not theory. Whilst we were at law school, there's scenario questions that are set for you in your exams. So these are scenario questions. So when you work as a general counsel, you handle those scenario questions in real life. That's the only difference. So whilst in school, while you were taking your exams, it was a question of, I'm just trying to answer this question in order to get all the marks, I can. Now you are solving those questions real life because those issues will come up on a day-to-day basis and you'll be asked to advise, what can we do about this? What can we do about that? So being a general counsel allows you to address real life cases. So it's not abstract. You're not dealing with abstract issues of what if and what if. No, you are dealing with real life scenarios. And that makes it exciting, apart from the fact that I had said, 1, no 2 days are the same. 2, you get to deal with real life cases. Another thing as a general counsel that makes it exciting is that you help keep your company on the straight and narrow path. And what do I mean by keeping your company on the straight and narrow path? That means that you keep them out of trouble. Now, as a general counsel, you can be proactive. A proactive general counsel keeps the company out of trouble. A reactive general counsel waits until the company gets in trouble before they step in. So if you have been a reactive general counsel, move to the side of proactiveness. And how can you do that? You can be a proactive general counsel and keep your company out of trouble by ensuring you understand their business. In other subsequent episodes, I'll be sharing more about these issues in detail. How do you keep your company out of trouble? How do you move from being reactive to being proactive? One of the things you can do is, as I said, understand your business. If you understand your business and then you understand the laws that impact on your business, and then you can ahead of time guide your company on how to structure their transactions and their activities and operations in a way that there is an alignment between the activities of the company and the activities of what the law requires, then you'll find yourself in a very good position where your company does not run foul of the law. So that's what you do as general counsel to proactively keep your company out of trouble. Another thing that general counsels do that make it exciting is you try to get in on the action ahead of time. So if you've been waiting for issues to go bad before they refer them to you, try and backtrack. Have a discussion with your line manager. Usually the line manager for the general counsel or the chief legal officer or the legal advisor is the MD CEO. So that's usually your line manager. So why not go up to him and say, hey, Mr. CEO, I have observed that, with transaction ABC, I was brought in, later in the day when things had gone bad. I could have helped if only I had known about this issue, before, when the deal was being structured, then I would have advised the company to structure it differently. And it would have saved the company, the needless time spent in litigation or, in arbitration, expensive. No. So let me in on those deals ahead of time so that even in the structuring of those deals, I can help to structure those transactions in accordance with, with the law. So that's one of the things you do. Keep your company on the straight and narrow path. Now, general counsel is also, the role of a general counsel is also interesting because you are a trusted advisor to your colleagues and to management. A trusted advisor. And they know, oh, Jumoke, that's my name. Let's talk to Jumoke about this. Let's hear what Jumoke has to say about this. And so that we know that, we are going on in the right path. Now, how do you build that type of relationship where your colleagues trust you enough to let you in on the action ahead of time? So you build a relationship with your colleagues by ensuring that they know that you are on the same side as them. So you're on the same side. So we are on the same side. And our objective, our mutual objective, is to ensure that the company remains viable. So when you phrase your proposals in this manner, in the manner where you explain, hey, I'd like to help. How can I assist you with that transaction? How can I ensure that your deals get processed very quickly through legal? When they hear those kinds of questions from you, they'll be willing to share with you. I have a funny story I heard about a bank in England. Very funny story indeed. And the legal department was called the Business Prevention Unit. Because they had a reputation for killing every deal that was brought to them. And so you wonder why would you kill people's deals? But some lawyers do that. Some legal advisors do that. So you have to move. If you want to be a trusted advisor and business partner of management and of your colleagues, then you need to let them know that you are there to help and help them to fulfill the lawful objectives of the organization. So you are fulfilling the lawful objectives, not the unlawful objectives of the organization. And how can you help them fulfill this? By explaining to them that we are on the same side. We're on the same side. So you can do that. That way you buy their trust. Now, another thing that makes the job of a general counsel, legal advisor, interesting and exciting is that you get to enforce the company's rights. So we deal in an interesting world, right? That no matter how tight the agreement you have, some counterparties will try and flout it. They'll try and do things differently from what you had put in the agreement. And so what do you do? What do you do? You have to ensure that you enforce your company's rights. And enforcing your company's rights starts from having the appropriate clauses in the agreements and then trying to follow through on the enforcement of those clauses, in the agreement. I had a trick question once. My line manager then asked me, he says, Jumoke, he was trying to find out that, can anybody sue you on a watertight agreement? And I fell right into his trap and I said, no, this agreement is watertight. Nobody can sue us on it. And he laughed. This was many years ago. He said, Jumoke, no matter how watertight an agreement is, people sue for the flimsiest of reasons. So it's not about how watertight your agreement is. Go and prove that in court. Prove it in court or prove it in arbitration or mediation or, whatever dispute resolution mechanism you pursue. But people sue for any and every reason. So bear that in mind. So you need, as general counsel, to be able to enforce, the rights of your company. So that's one of the things that makes it exciting. And then you delve into the different mechanisms. Now, as I mentioned in the previous example is that for you to have a watertight agreement, then you must ensure that the right clauses, and that brings me to the issue of contract drafting, contract negotiation, contract review, contract execution, contract administration. So those are all different aspects of the role of a general counsel, because you need to get into agreements for your company to be sustainable and viable. You must get into one form of agreement or the other with counterparties, maybe operational agreements, service agreements, purchase of equipment agreements, all sorts. So you must also be familiar with drafting contracts, reviewing contracts, the clauses that should be in the contract, and to protect your client or your company, and to ensure that you negotiate a win-win, for you and your organization. All in all, a general counsel adds value. You must add value. Otherwise, you would always be at loggerheads with the organization you're working with. And I would share an illustration. Sometimes when we finish from law school and we start out working, some people from law school go straight into practicing as in-house counsel in organizations. And so what they do is, if your company brings a transaction and say, oh, we'd like to do XYZ, and, we now sound like the members of the business prevention unit, and we say, no, it can't be done. The way this transaction is illegal, it cannot be done, and these are the 20 reasons why this transaction cannot be done. Wow. And so you deflate the ego and the expectation of your marketing and sales and operational teams who thought they were on the way to, a great deal and, some revenue for the company. So many lawyers start out like that, being like deal breakers, deal killers, business prevention. But at a point, you have to ask, if there is no business, there's no legal department. Frank, that's it. That is it. If there is no business, there is no legal department. And so, for you to have a legal department, that means there is a thriving business. So while the role of the general counsel is to assist in the fulfillment of the lawful objectives of the company, that does not mean that you take your sledgehammer and your gavel and like a judge and you knock down every deal that is brought to you. It requires some creativity, and I'll tell you how. So if they come before you with a deal that it's not, or the way they have presented it to you, it's not appropriately structured, then you ask questions. The way these marketing and sales and operational teams and have structured this deal is not appropriate, and we're going to run into trouble. So one of the things you should ask yourself is, how can we restructure this transaction in a way that there is proper alignment with the provisions of the law? So that takes your game up as general counsel. So you have moved from the reactive general counsel to the proactive, and you now move to the value addition, where you add value and saying, the way you've done it won't fly, but I've given it some thought, and if we tinkered with this, if we adjusted this, if we structured this transaction this way, then it would go through, and I think we'll be very successful with it. That is the way you buy the trust of your colleagues. So this is just a sample of the types of issues we will be discussing, on this channel, and I will come again, with other episodes, and to share with you my experience. Are there specific areas you'd like to hear about? Let me know. Let me know about those specific areas, and I'll be happy to talk about them, on my channel in subsequent episodes. Now, until I come your way again with another episode, my name is Ola Jumoke Delano, signing off. Till we meet again. Take care and enjoy the rest of your day.